Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today for our Pandemic Back to School webinar. Many of you might already know me. My name is Cyrus. I'm owner and formulator for Pure Lab Vitamins here in Ottawa. This webinar is slightly different. We will not have a Q&A session at the end. This is really just meant to provide you with common sense tools to help with the re-entry into daily life in school after the ups and downs of the last 18 pandemic months. What we're going to discuss today applies to teenagers and adults, but also could be used in younger kids at slightly reduced dosages. After months of mandated school closures and online learning, students will hopefully have a chance this year of returning to a more normalized learning environment. The fallout from 18 months of online learning and seesawing school closures is now slowly being recognized. A recent report from the Ontario COVID-19 Science Advisory Table suggests Ontario students have experienced significant learning gaps, as well as mental, emotional, and physical consequences. Students, teachers, and parents will all continue to be dealing with increased stress and anxiety this fall. Elevated levels of stress has an impact on digestion and overall immune health. Addressing the stress will promote digestion and better immune function down the road. So today we'll address stress, anxiety, digestion, and measures to improve all of these, but also provide some general guidance on boosting your and your kids' immune system so that you are prepared, protected, and gung-ho for hopefully a normal year of school and life. So what is stress? The dictionary defines stress as a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. COVID. What we call stress today was biochemically an evolutionary mechanism that helped some of our early ancestors to survive. It allowed them to respond much faster to real danger. The mechanism is known as the fight or flight response or fight or flight mode. The most commonly used example is the bear popping up in front of your cave. And these ancestors that had developed this biochemical adaptation would go through a cascade of hormone releases in split seconds, allowing them to either fight harder or run faster and longer to survive this acute danger. And so some did survive, and this biochemical adaptation survived with them, and it became the standard for all of us today in our biochemistry. So here's what happens inside our bodies during such a stress response. First, the body releases the stress hormone cortisol. It makes blood sugar levels and blood pressure rise. And this means quick energy is released and distributed fast throughout the body. Second, and simultaneously, the body releases the stress hormones norepinephrine and epinephrine, also known as adrenaline. And this we can actually feel. It is this electric sensation in the pit of our bellies after a shock of some sort, and that is adrenaline being released into the bloodstream from the adrenal glands, which are located on top of our two kidneys. Those two hormones also increase heart rate, blood pressure, and boost all energy supplies. But adrenaline also has secondary effects. Once it's in the blood and circulating, it can actually direct blood flow to the heart, lungs, and all the big body muscles by widening those arteries supplying the heart, the lungs, and the skeletal muscles, so that you have the strength to fight or run. Adrenaline pinches off those blood vessels supplying the gastrointestinal tract. Digestive activity practically stops. Because at this moment of crisis and danger or shock, digestion is really not essential. Survival is essential right now. And that blood and oxygen is better used elsewhere right now. Adrenaline also forces serotonin and dopamine levels to drop. These are two neurotransmitters needed for relaxation, for feeling good and for digestion, and they would counteract adrenaline. So today, we no longer live in caves, but our brains and bodies are still hardwired as if we did. Bears and tigers that stressed our ancestors once in a while have been replaced with stress, worries, and anxiety day and night around the clock. We technically live in a constant fight or flight mode. And as discussed earlier, in this mode, digestion never gets the attention or blood supply it needs to properly digest, process, absorb, and replenish nutrients. Chronic stress causes indigestion and malabsorption. Chronic stress increases our daily requirements of nutrients or enzyme cofactors. Therefore, chronic stress leads directly into nutrient deficiencies, which then amplifies the effects of stress back onto us, and we get less able to cope with stress. So it all turns into a vicious cycle. Parents, teachers, and especially students have been on a roller coaster ride over the past 18 months. And as a result of school closures, online learning challenges, loss of extracurricular activities and exercise, loss of social contacts, the list goes on and on. One supplement that stands out and has helped me, my family, and many of my customers is Ltheanine. It's a simple amino acid, first found in green tea back in the mid-1950s. It is the calming ingredient in green tea. An average cup of green tea contains just about 8 to 10 milligrams of Ltheanine, making our 200 milligram slow-release capsule equivalent to 20 cups of green tea each capsule. Obviously, we are using clean Ltheanine by itself, no caffeine or other residue ingredients of tea. Ltheanine has no known toxicity and no contraindications with any prescription drug. It reduces nervousness and restlessness, and when taken during the day, it does not make us sleepy or drowsy. It actually increases focus. It's a perfect daytime stress supplement, and the mechanism of action is quite interesting. It inhibits stress hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine, while upregulating serotonin, dopamine, and GABA, which is exactly the opposite of what stress does to us, which is why some people call it nature's antidote to stress. For teenagers and adults, I would always recommend the 200 milligrams slow release capsule because they provide calming and focus enhancing properties for 4 to 5 hours. This can be taken twice a day, for example, morning and noon, to get us through the day. Younger kids could use our 125 milligram chewable tablets, also taken morning and noon. If sleep is an issue, especially if we wake up in the early morning hours and our brain is already revving at high speeds, so-called busy brain syndrome, Ltheanine slow release works synergistically with magnesium glycinate for this application, both taken together at bedtime. And this gives me a nice lead-in into magnesium for stress, anxiousness, and sleep issues. Magnesium deficiency is rampant in our North American population, and today's kids with fairly limited diets when it comes to mineral-containing foods are leading this statistic. Studies have shown magnesium deficiency contributes to numerous mental health problems, including stress, anxiety, and insomnia. Magnesium is our calming and relaxing mineral. It regulates the nervous system and helps us cope with stress. Magnesium suppresses the release of stimulating neurotransmitters like epinephrine and norepinephrine, and it also aids in the conversion of tryptophan to 5-HTP, which is the precursor for both serotonin and melatonin. Most teenagers today have body weights comparable to adults, and their activity levels are usually much higher compared to adults. So they could certainly use standard adult magnesium dose of 3 caps per day, best given or taken as 1 caps in the morning and 2 caps at bedtime. Younger or lighter kids would use less, for example, 1 capsule just twice a day. And this will help with relaxation, energy, muscle metabolism and performance, but also with sleep and anxiousness. One other group of vitamins that needs to be mentioned in this scenario, affecting our energy production, detox, all levels of metabolism and focus, and those are our B vitamins. Stress depletes us of B vitamins, and during stress our daily requirements actually go up. But our diet contains less and less B vitamins. Many foods even need to be fortified, like cereals or other grain products. B vitamins are water soluble and they flush through us very quickly. Many of you who have used B complex before will have noticed your urine turns bright yellow within just 10 minutes of taking a B complex. This is crazy fast for the tablet or capsule to disintegrate in the stomach, for the Bs to be absorbed into the blood, and as soon as the kidneys register higher levels of Bs floating by, they start flushing the B vitamins out into the bladder. All this in just 10 minutes. That's crazy. No? So a regular B complex maintains blood levels for just 60 to 90 minutes. Cells do not get further required supplies later in the day. No? Pure Lab's bioactive B complex contains all the B vitamins in their active form and therapeutically dosed. Active form means the body can right away use them without having to activate them first within our own metabolism. Plus, our capsules are formulated in a slow release form, providing B vitamin blood levels for 4 to 5 hours each capsule. Adults and larger teenagers take 2 capsules in the morning, and they will still pee yellow when they come home late afternoon or early evening. Younger and lighter kids could use just 1 capsule in the morning. You can actually feel the energizing effects of our B complex already on day 1. So this concludes our general back-to-school recommendations. But as a father of 2 teenagers, I would like to point out one other concern. From what we know today, the pandemic is not going to be over come September. COVID variants will continue to evolve and occur. So keeping our immune systems pumped up and shiny will be good practice and common sense throughout the next school year. And this applies to our kids in school, exposed to all their peers, to teachers, but also to us parents. Our kids come home after school, right? So what is called the immune system is actually comprised of a number of unique independent systems that work together to protect us. Wherever our body is in contact with the outside world, different mechanisms are in place to ward off or handle pathogens. Our skin, lungs, mucous membranes, or the gastrointestinal tract all have different mechanisms to do that, to reduce the number of pathogens that enter our body. But once a pathogen has entered, we have inside systems in our blood and lymph system where an army of cells and enzymes works to detect, neutralize, or kill pathogens. And this inside part is what most people think of as our immune system. But all these individual sets of mechanisms require varying sets of nutrients and cofactors to do the job. So today I'd like to provide some actionable information on how to keep all our immune systems firing on all cylinders. Maintaining good vitamin D blood levels seems to be paramount in allowing our bodies to handle an infection better. A variety of studies have shown that individuals with vitamin D levels in the upper percentile of the reference range had much milder courses of COVID-19 compared to individuals with low levels of vitamin D in the blood. Also, low blood levels of vitamin D are directly associated with increased incidence of upper and lower respiratory tract infections in all age groups. Well, I cannot give you one standard dosing recommendation for vitamin D3. I think it's important to discuss dosing with your health practitioner. I think it's fair to say For Canadians, that 1,000 units of vitamin D3 per day is not enough. Please check out our video on vitamin D optimization on our YouTube channel for more detailed information. I believe we can all agree today's crops, vegetables, fruits, nuts and seeds are all grown on mineral depleted soils and therefore no longer provide us with our daily requirements of those minerals. There are lots of studies confirming this. Trace minerals are the foundation for a strong immune system. They function as cofactors, that means activators, for countless enzymes in our biochemistry. One of these trace minerals against viral and bacterial pathogens is copper. Copper glycinate supports the immune system in its fight against pathogens in two ways: by directly killing microbes and by being an essential building block mineral for enzymes and cells of the immune system. Selenium. Selenium-methionine is the body's natural storage form of the mineral selenium. It protects cells from free radical damage and improves the body's immune response. It is paramount in maintaining good glutathione levels, which is also found to be a key substance in protecting our lungs against excessive inflammation during COVID-19 infection. Zinc. Zinc deficiency has long been established to increase risk of infection by viruses, fungi, and bacteria. It's an essential mineral in the production of all immune cells like macrophage, neutrophils, T lymphocytes, and natural killer cells. It's also vital to the so-called complement system that works together with these white blood cells to fight pathogens. All these trace minerals can be taken following the recommendations on our labels. And then there's vitamin C. It's always a good idea because humans belong to the small group of mammals. I think there's just 4 species that cannot make their own vitamin C. And this group includes us and other primates, bats, guinea pigs, and the South American capybara. That's it. All other mammals make their own vitamin C. And C is strongly involved in our immune defense. And similar to B vitamins, it's also water soluble and flushes through us very quickly. So a slow release formulation makes sense here too. Just one 1,000 milligram slow release caps should cover your regular daily requirements. And many practitioners recommend frequent dosing of 1,000 milligrams starting at first sign of any flu or cold, but also during any kind of infection. Finally, and again, there's 2 foundation supplements that I believe everybody's immune system will benefit from: a daily bioactive B complex, preferably in slow release form, and what we are known for best, a daily dose of good old magnesium glycinate. So I hope this information is of value to you. I know this was a lot and fast. Maybe you should review the webinar one more time. Everyone registered will receive an email with the link to the recording of this webinar in the next couple of days. You can easily share this link with others. It will also go up in the webinar section on our website and on our YouTube channel, where you will find a lot of other videos on specific nutrients or conditions. Thank you all for your time and interest in our products and expertise. I'd also like to thank all our participating retail partners that help promote this event. Most of them have specials going on for the next few days in support of the event. So that's it. Thank you and see you next time.